I'm just gonna get started. So this presentation is on AI music and art. My name is Gisle Martens Meyer, as you know, and I also release music under the project name Ugress. Oh. There you go. So for tonight, there's gonna be a presentation on AI and music, aktuell rapport, as we say in Norwegian. I'm gonna talk about AI and music for the first 25 minutes, and I will look at the situation right now from a grand perspective, like not from my perspective, but from a total perspective of the art scene right now. I will look at this from the perspective of artists and producers. I will also look at it for the industry and for the audience, which is very easy to forget in all these exciting times. After that, we will have a quick look at AI and art and history to help us get like a sense of how things are progressing. Then I'm going to look a bit about how I'm using these tools in my everyday work. This might not be so interesting for people who want to book me for this presentation. So that's the point where they can tune out. And at the very end, I'm going to talk about the larger issues of oh, cool. Mikael, good to see you on cam. Culture, rights, politics. It's a sensitive issue, so we'll dive into that towards the very end. Quickly, my background, for those of you who don't know me, I'm mostly famous for my project Ugress, which is 25 years old next year, which is a scandal that I survived for so long. I release all of the music on my own label, Uncanny Planet, so I'm both an artist and a label. I also see the industry side of things. This is me in 1993, like 50 years ago or so. Check out my extremely good taste in curtains, but observe a computer, and this is my first live show then in 2001. Observe a computer, and here's the latest live show, and observe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's like 30 computers on stage. It looks like this. You mostly seen this. I'm not gonna, during a regular presentation, I will let that go for 30 seconds. But here I'm just gonna skip ahead and tell you my instrument is computers and my themes are digital culture and technology. Chris, good evening. Lars also, hey, good evening. So quickly, just give you my background. I've been through multiple paradigm shifts in the music industry. I've had the analog to digital production change in the 90s, and in 95 internet came, and with that slowly came first the change from physical to digital distribution. At first it was downloads, which then shifted to streaming, and you also had on a separate thread the gatekeepers were exchanged for social media platforms. I think we're now at yet another paradigm shift right now with AI, but it's hard to say exactly how that's going to unfold. We'll look at that towards the end of everything. And a final definition, when I speak about AI here tonight, I'm not talking about general AI, I'm just talking about generative AI, applied AI, based mostly on machine learning. So it's a specific subset of AI I'm touching upon tonight. The goal of this presentation is not to show you how these tools work or how to use them. They're not hard to use, but this is not an instructional video. I'm just going to show you what's possible. I will do that by showing you screenshots and videos of these tools, or mostly the results. Even if many of them are very fast to create, it's going to take too much time if I actually step through how everything works. So I've done it. I made a recording of that, and we will look at the results. We will also listen to a lot of music. For most of the music, only a few seconds is enough to give us a sense of like, okay, that sounds like this. But sometimes we need to let the music go for a bit so you understand, and we can assess how these different platforms create a musical narrative, musical dramaturgy, and kind of like songs have structures. We sometimes need to listen for a bit more than 10 seconds. Oh, and also I'm going to try and be neutral and informative, but of course I am both excited and anxious about all of these tools. Let's get started. Let's talk about AI and music right now. And we will look at this from 3 different angles, from artists and producers, from industry and business, and fans and audience. First, artists and producers. And I would say that you could split the current tools into three main categories. That is, tools that create full productions. They give you a finished song. You can't change anything about it. It's what it is. Then you have creative assistants that give you building blocks. And then we have all of the old school tools that we always had in digital music production, but they are now being enhanced by AI. Let's look at the first group first. And I'm going to look at three specific tools, which is MusicGen from 22, Suno from 23, and Udio from 24. They work like this, and I'm pretty sure you all know how this works. You type in a prompt, that is an instruction or a command to the computer. This is in text. You type in, for example, goth metal rock ballad, and the computer spits back an audio file that sounds like goth metal rock ballad. If you put in bubbly sunshine pop, you got something like that. You can specify stuff like minor key or how the vocals are going to sound, and it's going to try and do that for you. And if you write epic splash gaze, penguin, EDM, dubstep, rave, cybercore, it's going to sound like something you will hear very shortly. I'm just going to show you how it looks. This is they are all websites. LimeWire from 22, MusicGen is running on LimeWire from 22. It's like a chat. You type in a chat message and you get an audio file back. Udio and Suno both look very similar, like this. You type in the prompt at the very top, you select a model, you write in the lyrics if you want to have lyrics, and it spits out results on the list to the right. It's pretty much the same for Suno. So now let's listen to this prompt, epic splash gaze, penguin, EDM, dubstep, rave, cybercore, with these lyrics.
Yo, internet, yo, Patreon, yo, people, yo, maximum, yo! Step right up under the big top dome. Penguins in the stream and we're breaking the throne. Top hats, flippers breaking all the chains. From live stream presentation to global range. Flipping high, flipping low. Penguins splashing hard, watch us grow. From the fish tank to the moon. World domination coming soon.
Yo! So that's Maximum Yo, that's Penguin's epic rule EDM dubstep, created by the latest version of Suno. I have a lot of these songs. You can create endless of them. It's so much fun. Let's dive into how all of this came together. I'm going to historically step through the last 3 years for you with these 4 different platforms, or it's 3 platforms actually. MusicGen came in 22, then Suno came a year later, exactly 1 year ago. Udio came 6 months ago, and Suno released an updated model just a week ago. Let's listen to 2022, classic reggae track with an electronic guitar solo. So this is first MusicGen. Nothing more happens. That's it. Let's listen to Suno from a year ago. It just keeps repeating this musical theme with drums or not drums. This is Udio from 6 months ago. This is interesting. It kind of nails the classic part of that prompt. It sounds like it's actually from the 70s or something. The textures are right. Now let's listen to Suno version 4 from a week ago. It has better production values than all of them together, but I still find that I liked Udio better. That was more interesting. It sounded like the prompt. Let's move on to the next prompt, which is pop dance track with catchy melodies, tropical percussion, and upbeat rhythms, perfect for the beach. And let's first listen to Music Gen from 22. Nothing more happens, it just loops this, but it sounds like a loop of that. Here's then Suno from a year ago. Again, it has a repetitive musical theme that is just repeated, but with some new segments are coming in and out, like drums are coming in under, and there are some wishy-washy sounds. Here's then Udio from this summer. I like this has like a musical narrative. There is some dramaturgy. It has different parts. There are transitions between the parts. It's like it's not perfect, but it sounds like a song. And here's now Suno from Right Now. The sound is better. Transitions. But I feel like it keeps repeating the same musical theme over and over. Which might work for that kind of music, I don't know. But I'm kind of like, even if Udio sounded a bit like weirder, I like that weirdness, and it felt more creative. Let's just quickly go by the next prompt, which is Earthy Towns, environmentally conscious, blah blah blah. You can read it while we listen to it. Here's first Music Gen, and the reason I'm putting this one in here is because this is ad music. This is like the music you hear under every fucking ad on YouTube. And nothing more happens with Music Gen, it's just this bed. Suno from December last year. How is your credit? You should get a new car. It's so good to have you here. Buy products from us. Buy. People are happy when they hear this music. So let's check out what Udio does with this prompt. I liked, again, this one better. It's like, it's a bit more creative interpretation of the prompt. It's like a lumberjack person noodling on the guitar. You can even hear the tiny breath sounds from the guitar player. And now, just for completeness sake, here's Suno from this year. It just keeps making advertisement music. So I guess Suno is perfect for ads and Udio is a bit more creative. That's my assessment so far. But let's have more fun with these tools. The next prompt is black metal, symphonic, black metal, rock, Norwegian, dark, witchcore. And for that prompt, I have also given it lyrics, and I told the AI to write lyrics about dark witches. I'm from Bergen on the west coast of Norway, and the west coast is really cool. So I told it, like, make a song about witches from Bergen, the city of 7 mountains, and they're really cool. And this is what we got. Let's first listen to music, Jen. I think the vacuum cleaner is supposed to be the vocals. Let's listen to Udio.
Dark witches like the winds of night, casting spells on the moon's dim light. From the 7 mountains edge we boast, ruling shadows of the wild west coast. The west is best, that's how it goes. When the witches weave their woes, cooler than a midnight's cloak. Witches laugh at every joke.
Witches laugh at every joke. So how did Udio fare with this? I feel like that's nailing the metal part, the black metal part of it, with the specific keys, like the chords are black metalish. But I also got a completely different creative interpretation from Udio. It sounded like this.
Night, casting spells on the moon's dim light from the 7 mountains edge we boast, ruling shadows of the wild west coast. West is best, that's how it goes. Where the witch.
And here's then Suno, the latest version from this morning.
West is best, that's how it goes. Where the witches weave their woes, cooler than the midnight's cloak. Witches laugh at every joke.
This time Suno nails the prompt very well. Like, it has black metal, it's had some phonic stuff, it's dark witchcore. So, well, good job everybody. And let's move on. These tools have more interesting stuff. You can upload existing songs, and the platforms will then try to generate more music that sounds like what you just uploaded. And you can use that to manipulate your existing songs or other people's songs. To show examples of this, I'm going to use Aha's Take On Me, because I think everybody knows it. So what I did, I uploaded the first 90 seconds of this song, and then I cut it just as the refrain starts singing. So Morten Harket sings "Take on me," snip. And after that first phrase of "Take on me," the engines take over. And we will now listen to the options of this. First, it's gonna be Suno version 3. So cool. And the lyrics here are based on, like, because I was in Helsinki a week ago, and this was for the conference there, so the lyrics are made to, like, just make fun of Take On Me. What does Udio do. Okay, go on me. Yes, you're in Helsinki, David. But here's something interesting. Let's now check out what the latest version of Suno is doing to exactly the same task. It's very interesting to observe that in this new model, it fails to recreate the voice of Morten Harket. And I think what is happening is that they are putting up walls to make sure you cannot use existing copyrighted material. I already had trouble getting this song into the models when I did this 2 months ago. If I uploaded the pure song from Aha, they no, you cannot use this song. It is copyrighted material. But with some hacking, I changed a bit parts of the song and I pitched it a bit up or down, and then it slided through, and then you just pitch it back up when you get it back. But this time, I think it actually. I have a theory. I think because they can, of course, split these songs into the different parts, and they can build recognition systems on the different voices. So they probably have a filter or a kind of a sensor thing running on Morten Harket's voice, and if somebody tries to clone songs with his voice, it's going to subtly shift it away from that, so you can't actually copy Morten Harket. I don't know if that's what they're doing, or is this model just doesn't work the same way. It's just very interesting to observe that in the previous models I could clone his voice very well, but not with this one. Let's continue with some observations on these two models. Now you have a bit what they can create and what you can do with them. There are some interesting rights and monetization issues here. You can't flat out monetize 100% AI generated songs. So the finished products you get from this platform, if you upload that to Spotify and Spotify recognizes it as AI, you won't get paid for it. And also if it's played on the radio, you won't get publishing rights for it. But if you adapt it or include it in a bigger part of a whole, then it should pass. But there's still a lot of uncleared stuff around all of this, which leads me to believe that at the moment, it looks like for these platforms, the users are the product right now, not so much the songs. This could change, but that's a very interesting observation. Oops, I pressed that button there. But it's also, of course, library and production music. Ciao. I mean, why would somebody make the music that's going under an ad when you can just write it into an engine like this? And for advertisement music, you don't need the rights. You just want something under there. So this changes a lot of income sources for a lot of people, and we should be aware of that. I'm going to touch more upon this later. Now, let's look at something more interesting, and that is creative assistants. I will call them, they're like building blocks. They are tools that use generative AI to give you material that you can then use further in your own productions. We're going to look at 3 tools specifically: Kids AI, lalal.ai, and 11 Labs. Lalal.ai is a tool to rip and split recordings. It's a web platform. You upload the stuff to the platform and it demixes everything into the stamps you see to the right here. I'm going to put up a bigger screen so you can see all of them. And it can also clean up and remove reverb so you get like the pure vocals back. I'm going to show you an example of that. Here's what the website looks like. So I upload, for example, this. And then I tell lalal.ai, please give me just the vocals.
quits. Doubles take a split. The ace of spades. The ace of spades.
So then I have the voice of Lemmy. And I do this with all of the Motorhead songs. I take 50 songs of them and just play them through Spotify, rip the songs, upload it to AI, and it isolates Lemmy's vocals. Here's another example from another artist.
We don't need another hero. We don't need to know the way home. All we want is life.
And then I split that.
We don't need another hero. We don't need to know the way home. All we want is life beyond the Thunderdome.
So then I have, when I do this with the whole, like a bunch of songs from these two artists, I have their voices and I can then train another AI on their voices. And that is what Kits.ai is for. It's for generating vocals. You can upload a recording of your voice. You can use a very short amount, like, I mean, this is how people will trick our parents and eventually us on social media and on phone calls by cloning our voices and telling them, Mom, please send money, but not to my usual account, but to this other account in this other country. But so I just took these voices from, for example, Lemmy and Tina Turner, and I upload them to, it looks like this. It's very simple. Again, it's a web platform. You upload the audio, you train the voices. For Lemmy, it took 3 hours to train a voice on 50 of his songs. And with Tina Turner, pretty much the same. So here you now have, and then I can give this engine, I put one of the vocals in as the input source, and I tell the engine, give me this song back, but with Lemmy's voice. So for example,
We don't need another hero. We don't need to know the way home.
okay, it's not great, you can hear that it's fake, but if you put it back into the song,
We don't need another. We don't need another hero. We don't need to know the way home. All we want is life beyond the Thunderdome.
you have Lemmy singing Beyond the Thunderdome. And for completeness sakes, here's then Tina.
Double up or quit, double take a split. The ace of spades, the ace of spades.
Tina singing the Ace of Spades. These tools are not perfect, but this is not difficult. Like you don't need instructions to do this. This is super easy. All of the tools are available. You can even do this on the free platforms. And of course, you can have fun.
It's fantastic.
I'm a Barbie girl in the Barbie world. Life is plastic. It's fantastic. You can brush my hair. Undress me everywhere. Imagination.
So there's Lemmy singing Barbie Girl. And I mean, this is endless. You can do this forever. There's nothing stopping us except for, like I pointed out just a week ago, it felt like the tools started to kind of recognize famous voices and is hindering you to use stuff like Morten Harket. I don't know. It's just a theory, but I would not be surprised if filters like that appear. Let's continue to the next tool I'm going to talk about, which is 11labs.ai. Again, working with voices, but now more for speaking and narration. It's a tool for, again, you upload examples of a voice and then you train the AI using these voices to generate a virtual voice. And you can then create new lyrics with this. And now we are starting to approach my own work, because this is how I did many of the voices for Retrotopia. Let's look at, I'm going to put that up full screen. Again, it's a web platform. You type in the text you wanted to say in the middle part there, and you choose the voice, which again, you have trained by uploading voices. And what I've done here, I've ripped voices from 60s movie trailers, and then I upload all of the voices to create like an archetype voice of the 60s science fiction movies. And that sounds like this.
Once upon a time, in a small town, on a small screen. I spoke to you, and I am the archetype voiceover from 60s science fiction B movies. The witches, they laugh at every joke. Ha 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 ha.
I love how the AIs cannot laugh very well yet. So that's a quick trick. If you want to check if somebody's a real human, tell them a joke, and the AI is going to go like, ha 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 ha. It's worse than Schwarzenegger. But let's listen to some other examples.
Once upon a time, in a small town, on a small screen, I spoke to you, and I am the archetype female scientist of 70s sci-fi laboratories. The witches, they laugh at every joke.
And a final example, just to like go through all of the decades. Here are the 80s VHS monsters.
Once upon a time, in a small town, on a small screen, I spoke to you, and I am the archetype monster voice from 80s VHS tapes. The witches, they laugh at every joke.
So very scary laughter there. You can also, with 11 Lab, so that's how I create a lot of the voices. They are archetypes based on like multiple characters and movies and actors and scenes, and like it's impossible to say where they come from, but of course they are built on the material of others, so there's very interesting rights issues there. You can also, with 11 Labs, create sound effects via a prompt, which again looks very similar. Let's just look at how it's there. You type in a grand epic slush whooshing through the universe hyperspeed, which then sounds like this. Yeah. And it gives you, every time you type in something, like here I type in breathy, haunting alien flute riff, echoing in the lost ruins of the forbidden planet. I'm gonna go back there and look at this. It gives you 4 examples, and then you pick one of them. Let's listen to these 4 examples of a breathy, haunting alien flute riff. Next one. It's great for sound design, and let's check the next one. It's great. It sounds like something from Future Sound of London. Like, I can't wait to start working with these tools and generating the different parts and then assemble them. Let's just check out the final one. It's okay. Well, I appreciate the creativity. Let's continue with just mentioning a few other AI assistant tools. There's an Apple Logic. They now have AI session musicians that kind of claim that it's using AI to adapt to your arrangement and then fill in with drums, bass, keys, and stuff. I think it's more algorithmic and actually based on real humans playing and very clever programming. But if they want to use AI to level it, there's also, it looks like this in Logic. There's also Lander Composer, which again claims that it's using AI. If you give it a few chords and it's going to build the notes for you, like it's not going to create music, it's going to give the notes for the orchestra to play that will sound very harmonic. Again, if this is AI, or I don't know, but I'm just mentioning it. There's a ton of other AI assistant tools for creating stems, like instead of a finished song, you get different parts of the song and you can mix them yourself. This is an exploding field. So much is happening right now. Every day there's a new and improved tool. And as I touched upon on the last 2 ones here, I feel often that they're just slapping AI on anything that moves. It might not be AI, or maybe they used machine learning to generate the cover image of the software, but there's no actual AI inside of it. Finally, let's look at, or not even look at them. I'm just going to mention old school tools are now saturated with AI. Specifically mastering. I think mastering as an engineer art is, again, it's a dying art. There will always be very good mastering engineers, but 90% of the work is being done well enough with stuff like Isotope Ozone. Also mixing. I know there's tools that previously it took a lot of time to dial in the good settings, but now AI can do that a lot faster than I can. I'm using these tools to speed up my own workflow. It's not always great, but sometimes I save time. And there are, of course, modeling, guitar amps, AI appears everywhere. It looks like this. It's just fancy. Well, I'm not going to go into it. I'm just going to point out it's happening everywhere. So for me, I think of the three parts we just looked at, the full production tools, the creative assistants, and these new old school tools using AI, I think the middle part, the creative assistants, that's where the most exciting stuff is happening, because that lets me create building parts that I can use in bigger ideas. I feel like the full productions, they aren't worth it yet for me, but I absolutely can see that other people will create lots of interesting stuff with that. Now, let's just quickly look at what tools AI have for the music business. And I'm just going to tell you that, of course, ChatGPT, which I'm pretty sure all of you are using, including me, is very good for working with text, for applications, for promotional work, for communication. There are now tools that claim that they use AI to find your most optimal fans. There are tools with social media platforms like Hootsuite that helps you optimize your social media strategies and posts and generate content for you, which it's slop. It's like we are entering this sloppy scene. Like it's just going to be endless shitty content online. But I think stuff like Chartmetric is doing clever stuff. They are using machine learning to identify other artists very similar to you in different kinds of behavior, and that can help you to assess how they are doing. And when I saw it, I thought like that's a clever way of actually using AI. And the same is stuff from IEMS and PAX, which are using fingerprint identification to figure out where is your music being played around the world. Chartmetric, well, I'm not going to go into it. It's more for the business and better for presentations than for this live stream. I will, though, touch upon AI and music for the audience, which is very important because that's you. That's also me. I am an audience. I have artists I follow, and AI is saturating also the listening experience for me. Of course, Spotify Discover Weekly has been with us for a very long time, and that is, as far as I know, based on machine learning. They also have an AI DJ. I'm going to show you that in a second. And you have dedicated discovery platforms where you can upload a song and it's going to find similar songs for you. We have the zombie artists coming back from the dead, or they don't even have to be dead. Like Kiss is going on tour with virtual hologram versions of themselves. And you have stuff like Endel, a personal music system that creates a soundscape around you. And I think that points us back to full circle with Suno and Udio, that, excuse me, many of these tools, especially the full production ones, they are more for the consumer, I think, than artists. Here's what Spotify DJ looks like.
Hey Max, what's going on? I'm X, and from this moment on, I'm gonna be your own personal AI DJ on Spotify. Let's go. Up next, I know you've been on a summer song kick lately, so I went back for some of your old summertime favorites. See if it warms you up. Next up, some of the music you had on a lot back in 2018.
Do you think of me?
All right, Max, let's get you out of your feels and switch up the vibe.
Okay, so I think it's a combination of Discover Weekly. It's just learning stuff, and then there's a smart algorithm on top of that. We also have the return of the zombie artists. Here you have, for example, the Beatles featuring deceased John Lennon, now and then.
I know it's true. It's all because of you. And if I make it through, it's all because of you.
That was made by the Beatles with, I don't know if John Lennon approved of that, but here's something more questionable. Somebody has used AI to generate the vocals for Chester Bennington, which passed away a few years, and made Linkin Park covering Gotcha's Somebody I Used to Know.
Now and then
I'm not questioning this. I'm just pointing out it's happening, and it's not hard to do. But before I start judging, let's look a bit about history and have a very quick detour right now for a history lesson. And I'm going to quickly show you. You already had now the assessment of how, the musical tools have been developing the last 2 years. Let's look at how images have been developing the last 10 years. In 2015, Google Deep Dream came, and it looked like this. I'm pretty sure you remember it. It kind of put the animal faces into everything. Then 5 years later came the first version of DALL-E, and I think I remember that blew me away at the time. But this image is very small. If I can put it up here, the quality is not very great, but it nailed the concept of the idea. And then you had in Midjourney came 2 years ago with the first version. Here is then 6 months later, 6 months later, 6 months later, 6 months later, and here we are today. And I don't know, I don't need to point this out to you, but it's impossible to know if an image is real or not today. And let's just quickly also review video. How has video developed since DeepMind made the first video portraits with face transfer, which looks like this? You had an input face, an output face, and you could transfer the speaking from one to the other. It was impressive at the time, but that was the limit of what it could do. Then came Meta's text to video in 2020, I think, which, again, the images are small. But then a year ago, Sora came OpenAI. It's not out yet, but this is what it looks like. These are 100% AI generated images. It's not out for the public, but this next tool I'm going to show you in a second, I'm skipping right now to Runway Generation 3. This is available. This is the tool I'm currently using to generate videos. And it looks like this. And I think this is pretty amazing. This is a tool you can use right now. They have a free model. They have a platform model. I'm currently paying quite a lot because I'm generating a lot of visuals for the live shows. But it's super interesting. I'm going to show you in a second how I am actually using these tools. We are now transforming over to AI in practice, AI and me. This is going to be a bit longer than 5 minutes. I forgot to update the timing there. I am, as some of you know, working on, I just released Retrotopia, an album. It's about lost memories of the future and a multiverse of historical sci-fi futures, and looking back at like how did people envision the future in the past. And of course, when working on this project, stereotypes and archetypes, that's a goal. Like I'm after what is the essence of a 60s research scientist in B-movies. And these AI tools is perfect for that because that's what they're doing. They're interpolating between all the possible versions of that future. I'm doing music, visuals, and building interactive installations of this, which is the concerts. There's a narrative inside of that, but generally I'm after the nostalgia for lost futures and our lost emotions. The tools I'm using is ChatGPT. I use it a lot for organization, for working with text and ideas and concepts. It's a good research assistant to work with, and I find, especially now with the later search model, I prefer to actually use ChatGPT over Google for almost most of the stuff. I'm using lalal.ai and 11 Labs that I showed you earlier today for the voices. And I'm using Udio to create samples and sounds, and 11 Labs also for sound effects. And then I'm using Midjourney and Runway for the visuals, for creating assets and videos. I'm going to show you how I'm doing this, but I will point out that all of these tools I'm using are building blocks. They give me assets and material, raw material, which I then refine, assemble, change, manipulate, process, and I put it together using old school media production techniques with Logic, Live, Photoshop, Motion, Final Cut. I'm still using the tools I always did. They are just being also enhanced with AI, letting me work much faster. So I'm going to show you 2 examples of this process. Wow, time is running. I'm going to speed through this pretty quickly because I'm at 45 minutes and I'd like to get this under 1 hour. Here's the cover artwork for Retrotopia. That took a few days of prompting, and creating images that I wanted some kind of web spiral screens sliding into the universe. It took me 1 or 2 days of prompting. These images are the selected ones. There are like hundreds of images that I refused. Eventually, here's the base image for the cover artwork, which I then had to edit out all of the screens, like create a mask for that so I could put in back the static noise. There's also a ton of editing and grading and color correcting for getting the colors that I wanted. And when that is finished, there's still a lot more to do. This graphic, I wanted to animate it. That was the goal of building it. So I wanted that web of screens to spin. And here's the Spotify canvas for that, where you see the screens are now spinning at different tempos. That was a lot of editing again. Not supported by AI, it's just handcraft. And then this is part of the stage design, and the whole fucking stage is built around this image. The screens, the towers, the projection, everything is kind of built around this. So there's a larger vision behind it. It's not just something that Midjourney spewed out. There's a concept behind it. And also it's being used for ads. Here is an upcoming ad for the vinyl. So all of the graphics in the background there are, it's all generated, the raw material it comes from AI, but there's a lot of animation and effects editing and generally work to make it happen and look cool and work on a stage. I will show you some more details of that. So that was the cover artwork. Here's a better example of how I assemble all of these parts. Here is using Midjourney to create, I'm gonna go full screen for a bit here so you can see the details of everything I'm doing. Here are lots of assets created. It's gonna step ahead here. Thin strips of thorn black fabric whale is hanging from a bow, mangled with cables and wires hanging from a bow. Shredded reams of whale is hanging as threads from a metal beam, isolated on a blah 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 blah, which then looks like this. So I get this still image from Midjourney on a green screen background. And then here's another asset I'm creating, which is, I'm going to jump up. It's a pylon, scarecrow, cluthy tree, a vast mechanical tree. And then I have to, this takes quite a while to nail down this exact prompt. There's a lot of trial and error in getting it to show me exactly what I want, but I've gotten quite good at I understand how the tools work. So this is what I get back. And then I edit out. This is the cloth that I then upload to Runway. And then I tell Runway to just, I don't want Runway to do anything spectacular. I just wanted to animate it. So I tell Runway, this black fabric, please make it flutter in the wind. And then I get something like this. So that's just a still image. And now Runway is animated it for me. So now I have an asset. Here's another example of plastic. This is the same idea, just with plastic. It's then animated by Runway to look like this. And then I key it out, so I have the black plastic hanging like this. And now I can assemble the tower I showed you earlier. With the fabric, I can animate it like this. And then I insert these towers into landscapes where several parts have been animated. I'm going to show you how that is done. I'm just going to show you the screen. And then we appear as a live band. We appear on the screens in the tree. You will understand this better in a second. Here is then the backgrounds that I generate. Some of them have trees already, but some of them I replace because I like to control the trees a bit better, but I get a sense of the composition of the image. So here's an image that I want to have the tree on the right and maybe a tree up on the left. I also want to animate the ocean so you get a sense that everything is alive. It's a live scene. When I upload it to Midjourney, to Runway, Runway is very bad with the aesthetics, but it's good with the animation. So what I get back is this. The buildings are hopeless, but the water is pretty good. It looks like waves. This is it. Midjourney is using this image as the input, and I tell Midjourney create waves on the beach, and I get this back. And then I put that back into that image, which then looks like this. I cut out the waves and I insert them with some grading, and I put the tree up left and right. And this is for the triptych projection. So this is going out to 3 projectors. And this is the final image with processing applied. And I'm sorry for the 3 screens. This is how it's sent to the splitter for the projectors, so they get the right sizes. So this is how it looks like when it's going out on the beamer. And this is done on huge projection walls behind us. So there's not a lot happening in the images. They are pretty static, but they are so big that it feels like the backdrop of the stage, and I just want like the stage to feel like it's alive. This is just the introduction of the concert. More stuff is happening in the images, but I won't spoil that for you. This is just the kind of like to pull people in at the very beginning. And for this introduction, we do not appear on the screen, it's static, but once the show gets running in a second, we are appearing on the screens. So there's quite a I don't mean to like make it seem impossible, but it's quite a lot of work, and the AI is just it's creating the assets, the raw material, and it's a lot of effort to take it from the the AI spits out to make a coherent whole of this. But it's fantastic. I love it. I love it so much, and I never had the opportunity to actually do this. If I was to do this 5 years ago, this would cost me. And I would never ever be able. Nobody would. You would need a Hollywood team of production assistants and a production company and a media company. But now I can do this stuff myself. It takes a lot of time, but that's what I try to make sure more about that in my status report. But the AI is turbocharging me. I can create so much more now. I am having so much fun when I have time to create. And that means that I hire more people, actually, the people I can afford now, which is programmers that do the custom visual effects and helps me get everything up on a big stage. And all of this is live. It's happening live. It's live assets being animated in real time. And for the rest of my work, I hire label services, promotion people. I have assistants helping me both with the stage and with my business. I hire venues, I hire technicians, I produce vinyl and merch, and I can now design most of that myself. I create so much more business than I did 5 years ago. I'm trying to point out that when AI is turbocharging me, I turbocharge the economy. I'm creating more jobs. So the people who lost jobs, of course, they can't do what they did, but I think we all are generating more. It's a good thing. And I think we are at that exact point right now. We are at the paradigm shift where we have to realize, I think, that it's changing from production to direction. It's 10 years ago, I produced stuff. Now I'm directing stuff. I have to curate stuff. And for to curate well and to direct well, I have to be a really good artist. I have to be a very good human. So what the AI is doing, that's taking over the artisan part of stuff. It's taking over the craft of doing a lot of the grunt work and lets me be more of a human, more of an artist, have better ideas and concentrate on that stuff because the AI is doing the grunt work. But of course, when craft is changing, a lot of jobs makes no longer sense, and that's gonna hurt. And there's a lot of people who has a lot of valid anxiety. I totally understand that. I have it too. I see a lot of stuff I used to make money on is disappearing, but I'm hopeful and excited that the future is gonna bring something more and new. And I think the only constant we have is change. It's always happening. Like I said at the very beginning, I've been through multiple paradigm shifts. We land on our feet. At least me, I always land on my feet, so I'm gonna probably land on my feet this time too. And but let's just be gentle at this very moment and not like jump into it with like, yay, technology is great and it's gonna be awesome for everybody always forever. I mean, we are in the West and I'm a geek, so like I probably should be cautious here. Technology moves very fast, and I think art is often right behind. I'm like, I love waking up right now and like, oh my god, there's a new version of Sono. I have to test it. Oh my god, what can I do? I can now do this. I'm like, woohoo! I don't even want to do concerts because there's so much to do, but I need the concerts to actually present this stuff. But culture, emotions, and politics and laws are moving a lot slower than technology, and often art also. So there's a lot of feeling, I guess, of being left behind. Stuff is happening. The European Union is working on an AI Act that is currently being implemented. That's like an overall framework of how to sensibly, or at least pretentiously sensibly, implement artificial intelligence in our laws and in our business and culture. The different PROs are working on this. My Norwegian one just announced their own AI policy a few weeks ago, which I mentioned earlier. But there's also a lot of lawsuits. The German GEMA, I just saw this week, went head-to-head with OpenAI, and they are all of these platforms, everybody's suing everybody in all kinds of directions. There's, at the moment, no clear a result, or like nothing has been tested properly yet. Some cases have been thrown out, I've seen. There's also the problems of energy consumption. This technology uses insane amounts of energy to train the models, to generate the stuff. And there's the general anti-AI mood in the society. I noticed that a lot of artists, and me too, I'm cautious of announcing that I'm using AI because there's such a quick backlash against it. So just to sum up now, the last 2 minutes before I will check in with your comments, what about AI and the future? I sense a bit from doing these conferences now. I've been to conferences and talking to people that the mood has shifted just over the last 6 months. That could be because tools are maturing and people are maybe slowly realizing that, hey, we can do great stuff with this. It's not just all bad. And I feel like maybe the artist's fear has been, or it might be just me observing myself, replaced by curiosity and exploration. And what I'm mostly excited about is all the new art forms, all the possibilities that are inherent in this technology. I'm like, oh my god, I just want to work with this. I'm so frustrated these days because I'm in a very difficult rights issue. Somebody's trying to steal my songs, and that is taking all my time. And I'm so fucking frustrated not being able to actually work with these tools. I'm doing business and legal and shit. I will write about this in the status report. It's not a topic for right now. But I'm going to end this talk with a very interesting example, and that is, look at this. This is a drum machine from 1983. It's a TR-909. You've definitely heard it, but not in the way it was intended. This was intended to replace drummers in bands, and it totally sucked at that. Like, you couldn't use it for that at all. But these guys in Detroit in the late 80s, they started using the machine for what it was good at, and that was to create machine-like rhythm that I call techno, and you probably call EDM. And right now, EDM is $1 billion industry all over the fucking planet, generating insane amounts of value and entertainment and fun and festivals. And that all started with this machine. So this is going to happen over and over and over again. People are going to figure out how to use these tools in fantastic ways. I'm not worried a second, although I'm anxious and stressed and all of that. But I'm just so super excited about these tools and what we can create with them. That's a picture of a penguin with sunglasses because I don't have an ending to my Thank you. Yeah, that's the end. Let's listen to another penguin song, Dub Slush from Helsinki, while I read your comments.
Yo, step right up under the big top dome. Penguins at the slush and we're breaking the throne. Top hat slippers breaking all the chains. From Helsinki Expo Center to global reigns. Flipping high, flipping low. Penguins at the slush, watch us grow. From the fish tank to the moon. World domination coming soon.
Okay, great to see. No questions in the comments. We can actually wrap it up right now. I'm gonna leave you a few more seconds because I know that there's a bit of a latency in posting. So if any of you have any questions, but that was like, I'm so proud of myself for nailing exactly 60 minutes. Thanks for listening and commenting and being here and let me present this. I'm gonna do this again in January at the moment for at least 2 festivals. And I will explain tomorrow why I'm doing this, but you might guess that with this rights issue, money is not flowing where it's supposed to flow. So I have to get money somehow, and this presentations is a way to keep the lights on for a while. But hopefully stuff will be sorted out, or I'm wishing. Mikkel, thanks for your comment. AI mastering. It's not a magic bullet, but it works well enough. I haven't used any of the platforms to do this. I so far have mostly been using Ozone, but I've tested Logic's AI Master, and I also tested a British tool a few years ago that I think is just called AI Master. It's not bad. It does what it's supposed to do. Again, like I said earlier, I think a great mastering engineer will not lose their job at the moment because you still will need those. But for bread and butter work, the AI tools are good enough. Penguins are cool, I agree. Mikkel, yes, agreed. The tools have matured very quickly now. I felt like the newest version of Sono that came just a week ago, it's a lot better, but I've been working with it for a little bit now for preparing this presentation. There's a lot of technical small problems in it. You immediately can hear that it's AI generated. I still feel that Udio has a leg up, and I'm very curious if they can introduce an improved model. Oh, it's super interesting. And I'm thinking a lot about what does this mean for my own music production. Trust me, I'm thinking a lot about it. I wish I had more time to focus on these specific tools for creation right now. I feel stuff is happening so fast that stuff is passing me by. But I hope that this presentation gave you guys an overview. And also it helped me to get an overview of what's happening right now. Lars, no, it's a very quick. It's not hard to use them. It's not hard to get something fun out of them, but it might be hard to get something usable, which is why I prefer the middle segment of building blocks, because the finished tools, it's a bit hit and miss. If you get something great, it's fun. Which is why I think they're probably more entertaining. It's for the consumer and it's not for the artists yet, but that could change very quickly. Thank you, Mikkel. There is some work going into it, yes. And thanks for hanging out, everybody, tonight. I'm gonna slowly wind up shortly. I feel like I've talked way too much. Usually this presentation is around 30 minutes, but it was interesting to also present the work I do. For it, I'm always a bit like, should I show it? I'm afraid of showing my prompts and techniques because I think everybody tries to protect their own ideas, but there's so much of it that I don't mind sharing a bit here and there. Alright, I'm gonna hang up and get back to work. I will write a status report with some updates on what's going on. I hope to have some good news for spring. We have nailed one concert for January, and I'm still waiting for a contract for May. And we are working on more, and I'm working on releases. So I'll update you tomorrow in a status report. Tomorrow, or might be Saturday. And then I'll get to work on Ugress TV episode something in 3 weeks. I'm very sick of doing live streams with only 1 or 2 weeks of pre-production, which is too little. So now I'm trying to carve out 3 weeks for myself to at least get 1 or 2 new songs and some great visuals and good performance. So I'm looking forward to be live with you guys in 3 weeks. And I might do a Patreon winter party the day after. I'm gonna look over my calendar and see if that's possible. Thanks, guys. Lars, Degoborski, David, Mikkel. I saw also Mona. I also saw you there earlier. And Crystal was also by, and Richard, if you're still there. Thanks a lot I hope I mentioned everybody. I saw your comments while reading through. Thanks for hanging out tonight. It's I miss doing these live streams. I hope to be able to somehow plan that more frequently for the summer. Thanks for hanging out, and see you guys in 3 weeks. Good night.